Hello there, welcome back to the booth here at PAX from Seattle, Washington. We're at the World Championship, and we're heading into the second round of standards. There's only going to be two more after that before we cut to our top four here, so we're getting right down the stretch. Randy Buehler, Ian Duke, Marshall Sutcliffe. Let's head down to the feature match area for round number 12. Hello and welcome to coverage of the World Championship from Seattle, Washington. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Randy Buehler and Ian Duke, and we are ready for round 12 action. Let's meet our players.
Shaun McLaren, Canada, top pro points at large.
Paul Rietzl, United States of America, top pro points at large.
Pair of top pro points at large players here as we take a look at Shaun McLaren from Canada. Big smile on his face. You know, he told me earlier today he meditates in between rounds to make sure his nerves stay nice and calm. It helps keeps him focused when he comes back, and it looks like it worked this time. He's all smiles down there. Playing against Paul Rietzl, calm as ever as well. One of the best players in the game, a Hall of Famer, and we are underway here. So Paul Rietzl, Ian, he's playing hangerback Abzan, kind of the it deck right now in standard. What is it trying to do?
Well, it's been called Abzan aggro, but in truth, he's not super duper aggressive. He's got some early stuff like the hangerback walkers,
Fleecemane Lion, which we've seen.
Fleecemane Lion, and 4 copies of Onofenza the Foremost. But he's also got a pretty nice high end with a variety of planeswalkers.
Now on the other side of the table, Randy, Shaun McLaren has taken his favorite 3-color combo.
Indeed, I was going to make that joke.
Yeah, so
these are the colors he won the Modern Pro Tour with. You know, he trimmed the white for the Modern portion of the tournament, but jury's still out on whether Shaun McLaren is aware that the colors black or green exist.
So Paul Rietzl has a nice little start here with a Fleecemane Lion to kick things off, and no answer for it immediately from Shaun. Shaun is running 4 copies of Lightning Strike, but doesn't have one in his opener, or at least doesn't deem it necessary. He's going to play Jace Vryn's Prodigy first.
Yeah, don't forget, Shaun McLaren top 8 at a Pro Tour this year with Jeskai as well. Pro Tour Khans of Tarkir is the last time we saw this big of a Jeskai presence in the metagame, and there was Shaun going all the way to the finals where he lost to Arilax.
So interesting here, McLaren has a copy of Magma Spray in his hand as an early removal spell, which would be tremendous against Paul's hangerback walkers. It happens that Paul got a Fleecemane Lion draw instead. Magma Spray obviously not matching.
It's a bummer for Shaun.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting spread of removal for Shaun. The 4 Lightning Strikes, 2 Valorous Stance, 1 Jeskai Charm, 2 Roast, 1 Stoke the Flame, 3 Ojutai's Command, 3 Magma Spray. Eclectic numbers. That's a lot of time spent on Magic Online, grinding and trying to figure out which cards are good more often.
All right, so here comes Shaun with his 3rd turn of the game, using his Jace Vryn's Prodigy here. He finds a Shivan Reef, plays it. He's got a Lightning Strike in his hand. He's just going to pass a turn back. Paul Rietzl is going to draw a couple of cards here with Abzan Charm, which will open the door for McLaren to take care of this Lion if that's what he wants to do. You got to figure he's got to take care of it at some point here.
Yep.
Bzz, down it goes. So Lion down, but Paul still gets to draw the 2 cards from his Abzan Charm, as that is going to resolve. And let's see if Paul can reestablish a potent board state here. Land Siege Rhino seems to be one sweet option, though I don't think he's got any in his hand. He does have a hangerback now, though, Ian.
Yeah, if he goes for the X=2 hangerback, that would be devastating because McLaren can Magma Spray at end of turn and then untap with all his mana up.
Ugh, I just got a shiver saying that. Him using all of his mana and taking out a potent threat in the cleanest possible way.
Right, remember Magma Spray does exile the creature that took damage, which means hangerback walker doesn't split into its constituent Thopters.
Fully 3 Magma Sprays main deck for Shaun McLaren. He was expecting exactly this matchup.
Yeah, clearly a conscious metagame choice.
Okay, Paul Rietzl is going to crack his windswept teeth. McLaren's got to be hoping for no siege rhino, no siege rhino, no siege rhino. But
No, he's dreaming of hangerback.
but he wants the hanger back. That's
Oh,
what he
man.
wants to see, and I think Paul's going to play into it here. Paul obviously does not know that he's got the magma spray in hand. There has been no Thoughtseize cast this game.
There are other options for Paul, too. I mean,
What else does he have? Does he have a...
He could go, he has 2 hangerback walkers, so he could play each for 1.
Oh,
right?
that's interesting.
Or it looks like he may have a second copy of Fleece Mane Lion, and he may play that plus... Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
Murder the Jace.
He's going
Goes
to
for the
murder his cut
Okay,
here.
so taking a slightly more defensive line of play.
Yeah, he's going to make sure that Jace doesn't get flipped, and then he's got that follow-up Fleece Mane Lion. Nice play here from Paul Rietzl. You know, he does not get blown out by the hangerback walker play that we talked about, and he's reestablished his board state and taken a threat off the table. So right back at you, Shaun McLaren.
Love it.
Yeah, this is great stuff.
Yeah, the tempo of being able to do two things in a turn is great.
And there's a Jeskai charm, which on the main phase is going to put it back on top of the library for Paul Rietzl, just basically setting him back while Shaun McLaren builds out his board here.
Sounds like a flurry of burn spells from Jacob Wilson on the back table has allowed him to defeat Steve Rubin in game 1. Those guys are 6'5", trying to win out.
Hey, look, another Fleece Mane Lion. This thing refuses to die. Third one now for Rietzl. He's got 3 mana up here as well, though.
Yeah, so
Just
his
a
hand right now is 2 copies of Hangerback Walker and an Abzan charm. So leaving the charm up rather than playing Hangerback Walker.
And he's going to go ahead and fire off this Abzan charm to draw 2 cards and lose 2 life on end step. Shaun McLaren just played a land and said go.
Man, Paul's played this game so well.
Yeah, I have to think that the fact that they've seen each other's deck lists are shared in this tournament has really played into this because Paul knows that Shaun McLaren has 3 copies of Magma Spray, so he really doesn't want to invest a lot of mana in Hangerback Walker and get blown out.
Now, Randy, what kind of counterspell suite does Shaun McLaren have? We know he's playing blue, so he has access. Is he actually playing counters of any sort in this main deck?
Ojitai's command. 3 copies.
That doesn't do much against Elspeth.
No, it does not. 2 disdainful strokes on the board, 2 negates on the board,
But
1
Paul
dissolve on the
Rietzl's
board.
Wow, this
monstrous
is a
here.
bold play. This
He's
is
just
a
going for it.
A
Wow.
combat step monstrous, saying, do you have a lightning strike? Shaun McLaren says no.
Well, if Shaun had one, he would have played it previously. Like, Shaun just declined to use his mana last turn while there was a Fleece Bane, right? When Paul taps out for the Abzan charm,
Right.
that's, like, when Paul tapped out for the Abzan charm, Lightning Strike would have come out of Shaun's hand.
Yes.
Paul now knows there's no Lightning Strike, and the coast is clear. Really smart play. Really smart sequencing from Paul, just deducing what must be in his opponent's hand from the way that he's playing around the spells. That's
Remember, Shaun also used a Jeskai charm there, indicating that he didn't want to give the door opening again.
Yeah, there'd been 1 draw step since then, but
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the level Paul plays at. And, I mean, he kicks himself every time he misses something like that. I was talking to him last night about one of his losses yesterday where, he felt like, oh, I should have known that he didn't have this. It was like, in Paul's mind, I completely punted.
Just punted it out the door.
The story took 5 minutes to even describe where the decision was that he thought he got wrong.
Yeah, normal people punts don't apply in Paul Rietzl's world. He goes deep.
But at the same time, he's like, look, if you want to win at this level, you have to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a saying among high-level Magic players where if you think you played a game perfectly and you don't think you made any mistakes, you're probably not good enough to realize the mistakes that you made, right? So as you get better and better, you realize more and more things you could be doing better.
Totally.
Yeah, Mike Turian is famous for saying he's never played a perfect game of Magic.
So Hangerback Walker is the result, ultimately, of that dig-through time on end step from Shaun McLaren. He dug for 2 cards, and he's now played a Hangerback. The Hangerback is just going to jump in front of the Lion, it looks like. Shaun has no interest in falling down to 9 or 8 life here.
You know the other reason this Monstrous Fleece Mane is so good here?
Boom.
Well,
Here's a
other
reason,
than,
Randy.
Yeah, turning on
I found one.
Shaun only has 1 copy of Jeskai Charm. in
Oh,
his
that was
deck.
it. That was the one.
Yeah.
Oh, man, these deck lists, knowing the deck list is definitely coming into play here. Now, there is a Magma Spray,
We
though.
got there.
And Paul, immediately, he
He
knew.
knew. He had the read.
He had been playing around it since the early stages of the game. In the first round here, they don't have the deck list, but we're in the second round of Standard, and they do. They've had a chance. They get about 2 or 3 minutes to review the list. In other words, Paul's memorized it. And now he's got a
Evidently.
dominating board state here with Wingmate Rock and Friend, plus the monstrous Fleecemane line. What kind of cards, Randy, does Shaun have that can even get him out of this? Is he playing sweepers?
No.
So he's got to 1-for-1 his way through this mess.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a tall order.
Hangerback is sort of better than 1-for-1. I mean, I don't know what he does against the Fleecemane line other than just somehow chump with a never-ending stream of Thopter tokens. Maybe there's a Goblin Rabble Master involved. You know, maybe he sets up some Soulfire Grandmaster recursion. starts
Yeah, or
looping a burn
Ojutai's
spell.
command, bring back Jace and transforming into recursion there, but I agree.
All right, so Valorous Stance will take out half of the Wingmate Rock duo.
Right, but how many times has Paul 2-for-1'd him? It's like Abzan Charm to draw 2, Abzan Charm to draw 2, Wingmate Rock.
Yeah, he kind of threw him a bone with that last hanger back. Just like, you can have one.
Kind of Valorous Stance and a Stoke the Flames there for one Wingmate
Yeah,
Rock.
like we said, 1-for-1 in his way through the mess, but he has here. He's left just the Fleecemane line back, and Shaun McLaren is at 12, right? I mean, he can take a hit or two here before he gets into critical range.
And Paul's still got a giant Hangerback Walker potential.
How about an
Or
Elspeth?
Elspeth. Sure.
Yikes.
God,
Why not?
Paul is just crushing this game right now. 3 soldiers hitting the battlefield now.
I thought Shaun was ready for this matchup. I mean, look at the deck list, and it's clearly been tuned with this matchup in mind.
I have the feeling that if you just smash the decks together, Shaun might have an edge thanks to his main deck cards. But if you put Paul Rietzl in the mix, it
Yeah.
changes that
Yeah,
equation.
personally, I just think
significantly.
Paul sequenced so well in the early game.
Yeah, it's insane. You're grinding this deck on Magic Online. You don't get opponents as good as Paul Rietzl.
That's right.
Well, I mean, you might
Imagine
get
if-
actual Paul Rietzl, but
Yeah,
that's about
yeah,
the
yeah.
only one you might.
Little Darwin.
Little Darwin.
Yeah.
You get paired against Little Darwin, you know you're up against.
Buckle up, yeah. Now, interestingly, yeah, I mean, think about this game going back to turn 4. If he just would have slammed Hangerback Walker for 2, he would have been, behind for a significant stretch of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that easily could have been the game.
A lot of people here in the area down at PAX. Foot traffic walking through. There's a bunch of people joining us here in the booth as well. Normally we're in a closed-in space. I see a few of them turn around and looked at me when I said that. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. Welcome.
And they're enjoying the coverage from right now, right here. And they can also walk downstairs if you happen to be at PAX, and you can check out the action live. It's a little harder to see than our sweet camera angles here, though, but it works. Cool environment, lots of electricity in the air here as Paul Rietzl moves himself closer and closer. He just drew a Siege Rhino. So the hits keep coming for Rietzl, who's surveying the scene here deep in focus mode.
I mean, I do kind of like the way Shaun's played these Thopters aggressively, just attacking and trying to turn the game into a race. It's got Paul down to 8. I mean, Paul's helped a little bit, but still. No more Jeskai Charms to point at Paul's face. No more Stoke the Flames either. That's also a 1-of.
So that leaves the lightning strikes. He has 4.
Yeah.
Used 1 already. We have seen McLaren take that line, though, in multiple formats, including Modern, like you mentioned earlier, Randy, where his decks will often find themselves in this mid to mid-late game portion, and then all of a sudden he'll start, Lightning Bolt you, Snapcaster,
Right.
Lightning Bolt you. Now, he doesn't have those tools available to him here, but he does have some burn spells at the ready.
Oh, sorry. Combat, okay. Yep.
All right, so
7.
combat has been entered. 7 damage. That's all but 1, making the Siege Rhino lethal if Shaun were to take it all.
So you go to 7.
But he's actually going to take 4,
11.
or excuse me, gain 4 off of Ojutai's command and just draw a card.
Yep. You take 7 down to 4.
Take 7 drops down to 4, which puts him just out of range of that Siege Rhino.
Sounds like Owen Turkenwald has taken game 1 from Seth Manfield, by the way. First Planeswalker wasn't good enough. Second Planeswalker wasn't good enough. Number 3 got there.
Ooh.
And that's a rematch for those two, right, Randy?
Yeah, they played this morning with Seth winning in Limited.
Yeah, they played in the finals of their draft pod. All right, well, Siege Rhino hits, and that's going to drop Shaun down to 1 and leave Paul Rietzl with 6, 7, 8 lethal threats. And all Shaun has to do is either kill Paul Rietzl from 11 here or find a way to deal with all of them. Seems like a very tall order for McLaren. We may be on the verge of game 1 going to Rietzl here.
It's interesting that Shaun chose Gain Life Draw card with Ojutai's command instead of holding it up, so Paul even got to hit him with the Siege Rhino.
Yeah, there it went. So
well
Paul
played. Wow.
Rietzl wins game 1 over Shaun McLaren,
Smile.
looking to take this match and stay in contention for top 4. We'll be back right after these messages.
Watch the best players in the world battle for fame and glory on October 16th to 18th at Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar. See the impact of the new set on Standard and Booster Draft, with complete video coverage streamed on twitch.tv/magic. Play in the Magic Online Championship Series. You could win a slot to compete against Sam Black, Magnus Lanto, and Mike Sigrist at the next Magic Online Championship. For more information, visit mtgo.com.
And welcome back to the feature match area here in Seattle, Washington. We're at PAX, the Penny Arcade Expo, huge gaming convention in Seattle every year, and we're hosting the Magic the Gathering World Championships here. Let's jump over to Table D, where we have Jacob Wilson of Canada on the left side. He's up a game against Steve Rubin for the United States. Steve is playing Abzan control. And Jacob Wilson's one of the, 7 players on Jeskai here, Randy?
Indeed.
Yeah, it looks like a similar matchup to the one we just came from, except each player is on a different team. So Jacob Wilson having a slightly different Jeskai deck from Shaun McLaren, and Steve Rubin having a more controlling Abzan deck than Paul Rietzl does.
He's got the not hangerback walker version.
I believe that's the case.
Yeah, they've got a Silence the Believers, they've got a Tragic Arrogance, 3 Elspeths, 2 Nisses, Tassiger. Definitely on the, essentially the Ari Locke side of this fight, right?
You see what just happened here, guys? This is pretty sweet. Valorous Stance tries to take out Siege Rhino. Steve Rubin uses a Bile Blight to shrink his own Rhino.
Nice.
Very nice.
Gets it out of range.
This is Jacob up a game, but in trouble here.
That's
game
correct.
2.
He's up a game, but on 6 life here. Steve Rubin at a comfy 22 life. Well, Jacob Wilson, though, rebuilding up the board. You can see he's got Jace Vryn's Prodigy 1 loot away from flipping into a Planeswalker. He's got a Lightning Strike, a Dig Through Time, and then, of course, that Valorous Stance we just mentioned looming in the graveyard. So those could be in play. He's also got another copy of Manus Rider sitting in his hand. And you see a chump block here from Jacob Wilson. You know, you don't normally see blocks like that.
Yeah, it's possible he's playing around an Abzan Charm top deck.
I think.
Yeah. Which is pretty conservatively, because I think Steve Rubin started the turn with no cards in hand, so it'd have to be an exact top deck of Abzan Charm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Jacob can see that, like, let's say that Steve Rubin did top deck the land here. Next turn looks really great for Jacob. He gets to make another Manus Rider, hit for 6, also transform Jace and kill the Siege Rhino with Valorous Stance. It could be a great turn for him. He does need to make sure he doesn't die here. He can't beat a top deck Siege Rhino if that's what it was. As it turns out, it's Tassiger the Golden Fang. And enough mana to activate it this turn as well for Rubin, leaving just Den Protector in his yard. Well, that's going to change things. This does get really interesting, especially, with that chump block as well, Ian. Mm-hmm. Not having the token means that, Tassiger could get full-on chump block.
Yeah.
Where the Rhino now becomes a must-kill, or it's going to have to get double blocked with a pair of Manus Riders.
Yeah, I mean, my read on that chump block is kind of like Jacob Wilson saying, well, I think I have the tools to win this game unless I die this exact turn. So I'm going to play around the exact Abzan Charm. However, with Tassiger for Steve Rubin, he may wish now he had that token instead.
Yeah, both of these threats, huge problems for Wilson, though with the second... All right, so here we go. Jace becomes Telepath Unbound, but with the second copy of Manus Rider, it does mean that he can double block something here as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him do exactly this. Take out the Tassiger, because that's the biggest threat long-term. Oh, that's a bummer for Jacob Wilson, though. Land means that Steve Rubin is going to get back Den Protector. And here comes a pair of Manus Riders crunching in there for 6 damage, but also representing a block on the Rhino. Now, the next question is, well, what does Rubin have in his graveyard? And, of course, it's just those 2 lands plus the Tassiger that's now dead. So the good news for Jacob Wilson is that Steve can't just immediately buy back a removal spell with his Den Protector.
Yeah, Jacob has to just double block this Rhino here.
Didn't quite see what Steve drew there. It looked like an ultimate price to me. I can't tell.
That would not look very good here.
Yeah.
But Rubin can trade off Siege Rhino for a Manus Rider here.
Yeah, go on.
Jacob Wilson has to kind of hold his breath there. There was a card drawn, but he didn't do it. So Rubin says, yeah, sure. And now we're going to see the Den Protector hit. And remember, that Siege Rhino's lethal, right? If it hits the battlefield, it will kill Jacob Wilson. So there's a pretty clean line here for Rubin to just buy it back and then next turn play it. And if Jacob Wilson can't deal with it, then down it goes, especially considering that Jacob just discarded a Disdainful Stroke to his Jace. Pretty brutal. Rubin applying pressure on multiple levels to Jacob Wilson.
Dig through time?
Yeah, so Wilson's now forced to dig through time to try to find a way out of this mess. Let's see what he finds. See a Lightning Strike, another Manus Rider.
So he doesn't have a lot of counter spells in his deck. I guess he'd be maybe looking for like a land and an Ojutai's command or something.
That would be great. Wow, land Ojutai's command would have been sweet. I think he found another Disdainful Stroke, though.
Did he?
Yeah, I think he did.
He requires an answer.
He does. He
Siege
needs
Rhino.
to find a way to stop Siege Rhino from hitting the battlefield or a way to gain some life.
Yeah, Steve should just go for this.
Oh, for sure. And he does. He picks up the Rhino. That Rhino can win the game. Ooh, Elspeth off the top, too. Geez, he is just presenting so many threats for Wilson. But he's going to go with the clean one here and just say, Rhino, are you dead? No, you're not.
Wow.
Disdainful Stroke was found with Dig Through Time, so Wilson doesn't lose this turn. And yes, the Manus Rider can block the Den Protector.
Yeah, Jace also shrank the Den Protector.
Indeed.
But Lightning Strike, sure.
That
Got
shrank
one
it
of
down
those too.
properly
Is
as
Jacob
well.
going to come all the way back and win this game?
I don't know. I still think it seems like a tall order for him here, though. He has done an admirable job of fending off multiple threats from Steve Rubin, but Elspeth next turn is going to be pretty tough for Wilson to close the door on.
Interesting there. I mean, had Steve Rubin had one less life point, Jacob Wilson could have gone end of turn Lightning Strike,
Yeah,
untap, flash it back with Jace, attack you with Mantis Rider, you're dead. But because of that one life difference, he had to kill the Den Protector instead. An ops to flashback, dig through time.
Jace commits suicide in exchange for a dig through time flashback.
Yeah, Jacob Wilson needs stuff now, not later, so he doesn't mind losing.
This is quite
his
the game.
Planeswalker. This is a great game so far. Steve Rubin applying pressure on multiple dimensions, and Jacob just able to fend them off each time. I mean, if he didn't find Disdainful Stroke with the dig through time, this game would be done. Passes the turn back to Rubin, who has no board state and is at 7 life.
But with an Elspeth in his hand, right?
With an Elspeth. He's also got an ultimate price, which hasn't done anything for him, and a freshly drawn card. Looks like maybe a Glare of Heresy there. God, that's an interesting one, too.
Is that a Lightning Strike in Wilson's hand?
Is it?
Glare.
Glare away your Manus Rider. Pass. So he's going to wait a turn on the Elspeth in order to keep his life.
Mantis Rider.
Was it a Manus Rider? That's still not lethal,
yeah,
though.
he's still 1 point off lethal.
Attack you down to 4, but if Rubin's play is effectively tap out for Elspeth here, then he will lose this game.
And I think that's what we're going to see, Marshall.
I do too.
This is incredible.
Wow. Is Jacob Wilson actually pulling this out?
Two turns ago, Jacob Wilson was literally dig through time and pray I hit something that could stop the lethal Siege Rhino.
Attack you and jeez, lightning strike you out of this game. Jacob Wilson defeats Steve Rubin 2-0.
Jacob Wilson 7-5 now.
Sick game.
Wow, that was great stuff from Jacob there. All right, back to our main match. Take a deep breath. It's going to be like this the rest of the way.
To Jacob Wilson, that's 7-5 despite an 0-4 in Modern for Jacob Wilson. If he could have won a match of Modern, he'd be in great shape right now.
Is he dead?
No, he 0-4 Modern.
Thanks to his
he's still
good friend
fine.
Seth Manfield.
Well, I mean, he can get to 9-5. His breakers won't be great, but, I mean, if Seth keeps sucking all the wins out of the system, then all the 9-5s can get in.
There you go. Now, as we join our main match, we have Paul Rietzl up a game. Another beautifully played match in game 1 as Rietzl puts his hanger back walker to 2. And interesting.
Fight the Mantis Rider. Trade with the Mantis Rider. Oh, I have 3 Thopters left over.
Yeah, and you know what this does is it does get around having that door open for Magma Spray to punish him for having a 2-powered hanger back on the turn on the board for even a turn.
That's right.
Paul Rietzl.
Look at the numbers on the back of this thing.
Yeah, his estimate that he's 53% against the field, I'm not buying it.
Now, don't listen to Paul when he starts talking about himself in relation to other Magic players. It's all nonsense. I'm not saying he doesn't believe it. I don't know, but I know that he's wrong. Look, he's number 3 in the world right now. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Good.
He's one of the best technical players out there.
I mean, the fact that he got to number 3 in the world, the fact that he qualified for this tournament while going to like a handful of Grand Prix,
That's right.
it's truly remarkable.
It really is.
I think he got pro points from some, like
16 all?
all but one of the Grand Prix he attended. He got 3+ pro points from some crazy number like that.
Yeah, anybody that says Paul isn't one of the best players in the world, including him, is wrong.
Sure.
He's great.
So Anafenza comes down for Paul Rietzl.
Your turn.
There's a scry to the bottom and pass the turn back over. Now, Jace Friend's Prodigy is ready to rumble here. Planeswalker mode will be engaged after this loot resolves. Rietzl's tapped out, so McLaren does have free reign at the moment. He's going to pitch a Roast here. Roast not looking great against a bunch of Thopter tokens.
Well, no.
Now, Randy, does Shaun McLaren have any easy way of sweeping away those Thopter tokens?
Okay. So it's a
Tragic
-1/1,
Arrogance doesn't count
okay.
as easy, does
Yep.
it?
Okay.
He may have sideboarded in Anger of the Gods.
Right.
He has a couple of those in the sideboard.
Sean, for this turn, though, is just going to plus Jace to shrink down one of the Thopters and pass the turn back with 3 mana. Does look like he missed a land drop here.
Yep.
That could start to catch up to him pretty quickly. Rietzl's hand looks nice.
Yeah,
Rhino
curious-
and Afenza and Thoughtseize in there, too.
Curious to see what Paul does this turn. He has an option of Siege Rhino or Thoughtseize plus Anafenza. And I believe...
Does he have a downfall, too?
He does have a downfall, yeah. He picked up last turn.
So can he downfall and Thoughtseize this turn if he wants?
He could do that also.
Okay.
Actually, no, he can't do that because he only has 2 black
Only
mana.
2 black mana, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's between the Siege Rhino and the Anafenza Thoughtseize. Okay. Goes for the Upkeep Hero's downfall.
He's just going to take care of Jace immediately, and you can see why. McLaren did get some value out of the looting, digging hopefully for him closer to a land here, but he got no direct value outside of preventing 1 damage with the Planeswalker side of Jace there. So Paul curbed that immediately before he could start getting ahead. Attacks, hit for 3. Rietzl still just chipping away with these 3 Thopters, but they're looking good here.
Yeah, Paul knows he's got time on his side here.
And now he's going to clear the way here. He's got a Thoughtseize.
I think he drew a land, so he's trying to clear a path for Siege Rhino.
I mean, obviously, Shaun McLaren's hand is great, right? Because we know that it's full of sweet spells, and the reason for that is that he's missed 2 land drops now.
Is that Disdainful Stroke?
So I'm with take the stroke and slam Siege Rhino if possible here.
That's his only relevant play that he can make while it's Paul Rietzl's
everything
turn.
else is 4+ or sorcery. Worst.
Yeah, what's the worst thing that happens? Like, even if he hits a land, there's nothing devastating on the other end. I mean, your
he
Siege
just
Rhino's
roasts
going to
the
get
other half.
roasted.
Yeah, it
but,
can get roasted,
but that's his turn again.
Yep.
Yeah, I like your guys' line a lot here.
Well, I mean, I guess he could take roast and play Anafenza.
Yeah, that's the other option that I see here.
And then just play around the stroke. Because if he gets him to keep up 2 mana for the rest of the game, Rietzl will win.
Right.
That's interesting, too. Huh. Now
That
I'm
one
really
might be
curious to
better.
see what Paul comes out with.
Yeah,
here.
I mean, it does leave the... Oh, wow.
What did he take?
Ojutai's command.
Okay, so he took Ojutai's command.
That's interesting.
And there's Anafenza.
Wow, so now if Anafenza gets roasted, Disdainful Stroke mana will not be available
Yeah.
for the Siege Rhino, and there's no removal spell for the Siege Rhino.
Looks like Paul's playing
Well,
a
an
game of
untapped mana would have...
tying up the mana.
Yeah.
It has to be an actual untapped mana,
Yeah,
though.
which
This
he
is
didn't
a deck
find.
where most of the majority of the lands come into play tapped.
But if he just goes like Island there,
Yeah.
it's roast and still have Disdainful Stroke for your Siege Rhino. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, this play from Paul makes a lot of sense, because now if McLaren main phase roasts the Anafenza,
Which he's
is-
definitely
he has to
incentivized to do, yeah.
now he can't counter the Siege Rhino next turn, and now the Disdainful Stroke is kind of stranded in his hand.
But what if he had drawn an Island is the counter argument, right? Or an untapped mana source?
Well, then McLaren still has to leave up. He still
2
can't
mana.
do anything else with his mana that turn. Paul just doesn't play the Siege Rhino,
Yeah.
and then McLaren has Disdainful Stroke. He has to leave 2 mana up for all game, or not have a chance to play it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier too, right? Is
Right.
that if he leaves up to 2 mana all game, Paul wins.
Right.
Like, he's way behind on mana here. And sure enough, Paul
Oh.
Rietzl takes the opening to Windmill
But
Slam
roast number
Siege
3
Rhino.
off the top.
Another roast, though, will take care of it, but the damage is done here. Paul's got a 2-turn clock. Crunch. You're down to 2, Shaun McLaren. Even a land off the top for that Stormbreath Dragon's not going to get it done. And on top of all of that, there's also a Fleecebane Lion. So Paul Rietzl, just systematically dismantles the Jeskai deck of Shaun McLaren and picks up the victory in 2 games here. That was impressive stuff.
Yeah, incredible sequencing. Both games
That
you saw there
was
from Paul.
fun to watch.
Yeah, 8-4 is Paul Rietzl's record now, Randy.
Yeah, so
what's the picture look like for him?
I think he gets to play a win-in now. If he wins next round to get to 9-4, he probably gets to draw into the final round. I mean, it's messier than that, but to a first approximation, Paul has earned himself a win-in.
Paul Rietzl, world champion, kind of has a ring to it to me. I don't know. It just kind of works for me. I'm sure there's some people downstairs that might disagree. Let's jump over to Owen Turtenwald versus Seth Manfield, 2 of our top competitors here. Seth Manfield, far afield here. Look at him. He's 10-1 right now coming into this.
I mean, Owen at
match.
8-3 is in second all by himself.
Yeah, and he's also up a game here, by the way. So if Owen is able to win this, he would keep himself firmly in second place. How good of a situation would he be in if he can win this game?
Great.
Great
At
situation.
9-3, he could potentially go loss and still make top 4. Realistically, he goes loss-draw and makes top 4 at 9-4-1.
Wow, this is a huge turn, by the way. Seth Manfield just attacked for lethal to Owen, who used 2 removal spells to kill a soldier token each and go to 1, and he has Nissa Sage Animist at 6 here. I mean, it looks like Manfield's going to be able to win this game. Owen Turtenwald has a game to give here, being up 1. But he's not dead this turn. It's a lot of mana available, too. Draws his card for the turn. Oh, he's got to read the bones in his hand. He's going to plus draw the Siege Rhino. There's an Abzan charm. Is Siege Rhino enough? Gets him up to 4. Can block 2 and then take 4 and die at the minimum.
Well, he has a land he can play also.
He has a land he can play. Okay.
Yeah.
Put him up to 5. Courser of Crewfix doing its thing. Oh, this is a big one for Owen. Seth Manfield has already breathed a bit of a sigh of relief as he's pretty much locked up his seat here, but Owen has not. He's looking good. Really doesn't want to give anything away down the stretch here, though. You know, Owen Turnwell generally plays pretty briskly.
Yeah.
When you see him go in the tank like this, you know it means a lot to him. He's really trying to explore all of his options, but he can't find it. And what that means is we're going to get a game 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thought there was if he sees rhinos to gain life, to read the bones, what can he draw underneath the Abzan charm? Just couldn't come up with any sequence that got him out of that. So shuffle up, make sure you get time to finish game 3.
Does look like our Thiago Saporito Martin Milla match is still happening. Of course, our main table's done. Our back table's done as well. Yeah, let's jump in and check this one out. So Martin's up a game over Thiago.
I think Thiago just resolved a dig through time. Yeah.
Yeah, he may have, though it may be too late here. He has a Jace on 9 counters, it looks like, but there's an almost lethal attack here for Martin. So Jace plus
just
something.
lost,
Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's not lethal anyway. He's only got 8 power.
Good dig through time for Martin. Martin's the one who's up a game here.
Yeah, he looks like he's ahead on board. He's going to be ahead on cards in hand here as well. Thiago's got 3 mana looming over there. Maybe a hero's downfall for Ojutai. Martin's probably looking for a dissolve or a Silumgar Scorn here to protect Ojutai because he knows he'll win if he just hits twice here.
This is table 3, by the way. These guys are 7-4 coming into this round. Same record as Paul Rietzl coming in. Gigantic match. The winner probably gets to play a win-in next round.
And there's a dissolve, and he's immediately going to put that into his hand as Martin Mill. He's got the mana for it and everything. Now he can just pass the turn back, knowing that any one answer that Thiago has is not going to be good enough. He's going to play a Jace. He must have Silumgar Scorn in his hand as well, because he did not leave up the 3 mana, it looks like, for the dissolve. So I'm going to assume that other card is a Silumgar Scorn, and sure Thiago will too. Yeah, it looks like Thiago's hand is Jace Crucible. And that's going to do it. He plays a land and extends the hand. Martin Milla is going to be X and 4 now, Randy?
Yeah.
8 and 4? Is that his
Tied
record?
with Paul Rietzl for either second or third.
Now, are you anticipating a win and in on his behalf as well next turn?
I mean, the
or
pairings
next
get
round?
weird, right? Seth is going to have to get paired against one of those guys. Seth has now already played Owen, so Seth is going to get paired against either Paul or Martin. Yeah, there's nobody else in the mix at X and 4. So one of those guys, either Seth or Paul, is going to have to play Martin, and the other one's going to play Owen. Unless they played last round? Who did Owen play last round? It gets weird, right? You can play people multiple times in this tournament, but you can only play them once per format.
He played against Martin Milla
So
last
Owen
round.
played Martin last round. Owen and Seth played Paul, so they can't make the pairings work. How do you find Seth an opponent?
He's won too many. He's broken the pairing system.
Oh, Seth can play Martin, right? And then Owen can play Paul? That's how it works.
Yeah.
Seth can play Martin,
Well,
Owen can play Paul. I think those will be the pairings next round.
If that is the pairing,
no matter what this result is.
If that's the pairing, I would expect to see that next round. I'd like to watch it in any case. We'll have to, of course, wait and see how things shake out. Meanwhile, game 3 here. This is a big one for Owen Turnwald. It's less important for Seth Manfield. Now, it's not that he doesn't have anything on the line. There is a pro point on the line for him, which is a big, big deal. He is not going to be taking this lightly, but it has much more on the line for Owen Turnwald. That same pro point, but of course, keeping his dream of top 4 alive. You know how much winning a world championship means to these players. Owen's been playing his whole life. This is his world. Seth Manfield, 3-time Grand Prix winner. Different formats, too. He's been playing for a long time. All right, so Courser of Crewfix is what Owen's going to take.
Yeah, Owen consistently makes the card advantage selections with those thought seizes.
Third land there for Seth Manfield. Owen saw one additional one in the Thoughtseize.
Nothing for Owen on turn 3 here. Looks like he's just going to line up another somewhat land-heavy draw, and he's going to fire off an Abzan Charm to draw some cards, or maybe just keep it up in case he wants to kill something.
Yeah, I think he's going to probably draw cards at the end of the turn and then play the Courser of Krufix on turn 4, so he has a chance to just play a land off the top immediately, get immediate value from the Courser.
You see that line pretty commonly if they're not under a lot of heat.
Yeah, I mean, the way Owen's been playing this matchup, it seems like he values the card advantage heading into the mid-game, and he doesn't have a lot of gas in his hand, so he just wants to maximize everything he can get out of the cards that he has. He has enough lands at this point that playing a land off Courser is effectively like drawing a card.
All right, he found another Abzan Charm with that one. And there's that Courser that you mentioned a minute ago, Ian. And there's another Abzan Charm. So he's getting a little Abzan Charm flooded here, but it's not a bad place to be,
I'm
is
not
it?
sure there is any such thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's happy
You're
with
okay
that
with
at this
4
point.
of them, so can't have too many.
16. Strike the top.
He's just going to keep that Abzan
Yep.
Charm on top. Yeah, he wants them all. Owen knows that he has answers to everything that Seth can do. Is this going to be ultimate price here? No, it's Dromica's Command. That's going to take down Courser of Krufix. But, you know, as you mentioned a minute ago, Ian, Owen got a little value there, right? Like he got to see something. He's moving forward. He got to gain life. In this case, he didn't get to draw. You get to play a land for free off the top, but every little bit counts here for Owen Turnwald. Both players playing Abzan Control. And as you know, these control mirrors often end up being about raw card advantage.
We got another preview card after this round, by the way.
Another one?
Another one.
I like that Mind Stone Plus.
I thought you would.
That was sweet.
We'll
play that one.
Yeah, that card is value.
Yeah, I agree.
I just love that the Mind Stone cycle is complete. Or it's not complete. You can do a quadruple Mind Stone, right?
You could just keep going.
8 mana.
Now you're giving us ideas already.
Oh, I'm sure Eric Lauer's already thought of that.
Oh, yeah.
He has the craziest cycle ideas in his head.
Can we do half a Mind Stone? This is why I'm not in R&D.
So it costs 0.
Yeah, it taps for half a mana.
This colorless Mox is what you've just made. But you want it to also sack to draw a card? That's your theory? Sack for 0?
It was a brainstorming session. I was told to go nuts.
0 tap for colorless, 0 sack draw a card. I would play that.
Okay.
I would play 4 of that in every deck I ever made.
It's met the Bueller threshold. We just need to maybe fine-tune it a little. All right, so not a whole lot as far as board state goes for these two gentlemen. Again, this is a game 3 here, and that was a Den Protector. So Owen Turnwald firing off the Hero's Downfall and gets that Den Protector dead before it can turn face up. So again, it was just a 1-for-1, but it's supposed to go the other direction for Seth Manfield. So Owen, again, creeping ahead just in a little incremental card advantage ways. And is this a Siege Rhino? No. Speaking of card advantage, here's Sorin Solemn Visitor, which is going to make a 2/2 Vampire.
Yeah, and Owen used the downfall
He
on
did.
that Den Protector.
That's
this
very
could
much
be a
of
little
note.
bit of trouble for Owen. He doesn't have an immediate answer to it.
No board presence at all for Turnwald. Playing the card advantage game. All right, still playing it and
That's a
hitting
nice
a
draw.
land.
Nice draw, nice hit.
And he's got a Thoughtseize sitting on top of his library as well.
Yeah. When else did you get one?
You got to figure like he'd like to be able to play that Thoughtseize now just to keep Seth Manfield off a card like Elspeth, Sun's Champion. Unfortunately, stranded on top of his library, he's not going to have that option.
Almost draw it with Abzan Charm, but doesn't have the mana to then cast it.
Right. So let's see if Seth can take advantage. He knows that the Thoughtseize could come down next turn, so he's going to have to deploy whatever his most potent threat is that he wants to protect from it.
Yeah, it looks to me like Seth has a Siege Rhino and a Tassiger as far as potent threats go. Owen, we know, has an Abzan Charm, so whichever Seth plays this turn,
Just
Well,
gonna
it's
get
going to depend on
snapped
whether
up.
Seth is a 6 mana, because if he has a 6th untapped land, he can play both the Rhino and the Tasigur this turn, which would be huge.
Take it. 15.
Okay, 2 damage is going to hit Owen Turnwald, but no big deal. Wow, and Seth Manfield just immediately cashes in his Planeswalker for another 2/2 flyer. So Seth's playing the card game here too, right?
Yeah.
The card advantage game, I mean. Just 2 for 1 you. Like, and none of these are like devastating game swinging plays, right? But they're just incremental. Little bit at a time.
So this is huge here. Looks like Seth did have the 6th untapped land, which means he can play both Tasigur and Siege Rhino this turn. And the reason that's important is if Seth could only play 1 threat, Owen could say, end of turn, Abzan Charm your threat. My turn, draw Thoughtseize, play it, take your 2nd threat, and then Seth doesn't really have anything powerful to do from there. But as it turns out, this is going to be a fantastic turn for Seth. He adds the 2nd 2/2 flyer.
Did he just pass the turn?
Oh, wow.
He's leaving up Tasigur activation mana.
Okay.
Okay, he's got the only card left is a Den Protector, so he's going to hit that or something else. Of the top
It
2
gets knocked out of
cards.
his hand by the Thoughtseize.
Yeah, this makes some sense.
I mean, he's got to be a little worried about Owen drawing a sweeper, right? And hostilities could really set Seth back if he committed a Siege Rhino to the board, for example.
That's true.
Okay, Abzan Charm, take care of Tasigur.
Yeah.
So we expect to see an activation in response.
Yep.
Let's see what he gets. Land and Ugin.
Jeez.
Yikes. And of course, given that it happens to be a Den Protector in there, he's
Yeah,
kind of get that Ugin anyway. It just costs him some more mana. Since Owen has no real clock on him, he says, fine, take the Ugin, I guess. Thoughtseize it away.
16. Top. 17. Thoughtseize.
So let's get Ugin out of there, probably. Let's see how many. No, actually, maybe not.
So I like that.
Seth's 2 mana away.
Yeah. I
From
think Owen's
casting
plan
Ugin.
is, well, we'll see what his plan is. I'm not going to speculate too much here. I do like, though, that Owen Abzan charmed the Tasigur before Thoughtseizing, so he can make sure whatever he Thoughtseizes away actually stays dead.
Uh-huh.
It won't just potentially be brought back by the combination of Den Protector and the Tasigur activation.
So Ugin the Spirit Dragon, clearly the most powerful card in Seth's hand. But he's a little ways off from being able to cast it. The problem is, does Owen even have an answer for it if he does find a way to cast it? And that's a...
Nope.
The
not
answer's...
his hand.
Yeah, not
So
easy.
This
here.
is a real turning point, and this is not an easy decision.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy decision
Yeah.
from Owen's perspective here.
I mean, if Owen doesn't take the Ugin, he's basically signing up to have to kill Seth before Seth hits 8 mana, because he's
Yeah.
not easily going to be able to deal with the Ugin.
With his 2-power creature.
Right.
It's not going to happen. Now, he could find himself another Thoughtseize before Seth finds the land drops. It's not like it's
There's a
guaranteed
Den
to be
Protector
2
on top
turns
of his
away.
deck, so yeah. I don't think you need the Ugin here, because there's Den Protector on top of your deck to get back the Thoughtseize. I think Abzan Charm, it
Oh,
means
great
it's going to
point.
take Seth that much longer to find the lands anyway. So he goes for this, goes for the Abzan Charm. Figures he's got removal in his hand for the Siege Rhino, and he can loop this another Den Protector into Thoughtseize for the Ugin.
Now, what that leaves behind here, Randy, though, are these 2 vampires, which have just been crunching
Oh,
away
and
in
it also
the
leaves
air.
behind the Elspeth that was on top of Seth's library.
Okay, well, that changes the equation significantly.
Yeah.
So here comes Elspeth Sun's champion.
That is not the top deck Owen was planning for.
He did not want to see that.
Now does Abzan Charm need to draw cards? Is it dig for Hero's Downfall time? You can loop Den Protector for Hero's Downfall for Elspeth. But A, he needs another land to make that play all work in one turn. And B, he doesn't have the Thoughtseize plan.
Yeah, he didn't do it. He just drew the Den Protector there. Yeah, a lot of threats to manage here if you're in Owen Turnwald's seat. Seth Manfield. Drawing that Elspeth was huge. Owen kind of had his hands full, making sure he could take care of Ugin and get that stuff taken care of. And now he's got a full-on awesome Planeswalker sitting on the battlefield that he's got to deal with on top of it. And all the while, he's fallen down to 10. Like, his life total is not high here.
Let's read the bones in addition to Siege Rhino. Does get a free land from Courser. Sees that he's going to draw Hero's Downfall next turn. Or this turn, if he casts Read the Bones. Although that seems a little scary from a life total point of view. I mean, Owen does know there's a Siege Rhino in Seth's hand. He's got to be nervous about his life total. Does that mean you run out a Siege Rhino of your own?
Man, that Elspeth.
It's a good card.
So nasty.
Well, Siege Rhino.
That's what the play is. So Siege Rhino hits, bumping Owen back up to 12. And he passes the turn back. There's going to be so many tokens on the battlefield after this turn. 2 2/2s and 6 1/1s.
Wow. Goes down with Elspeth, kills the Rhino. Middle ability is an interesting choice there. Again, I think Seth is worried about sweepers from Owen. 2 languages in the main, 2 end hostilities in the board.
So we go to 6.
Owen Turnwald falls to 6 here. Make it 3. Seth Manfield plays a Siege Rhino. And the hits keep coming here for Seth. Owen Turnwald fighting the good fight here, but Mr. 10-1 Seth Manfield just putting so much pressure on Turnwald to find too many answers in a short period of time.
Yeah, the vampires alone are lethal now. The 2 flyers will finish Owen off.
Even with this land drop in the Courser. That doesn't get him out of range. Now, how much mana does Owen have here? Because remember, he's got that Den Protector. Can buy back something of consequence and probably cast it. 5. He's got 9 mana. Could even just get back a Siege Rhino. Would that get him out of this?
Well,
I mean, buys him a turn.
I do believe Seth Manfield has a copy of Hero's Downfall in his hand at this point.
Really?
Which we saw last turn. So if Owen just decides to move in and get the Siege Rhino, that's may not play out well for him.
Wow, he drew Hero's Downfall. Since that Thoughtseize, he's drawn Elspeth followed by Downfall.
That's right. This game is a struggle for Owen. It's not that he doesn't have the tools to deal with what Seth is presenting. It's just he doesn't have the time and mana to deploy them all.
Yeah, I keep thinking back to when Seth played Sorin, minused it, and just happy with the clock that it's producing. You can see
that
why.
was a great decision. All right, Den Protector for Siege Rhino, run out the Siege Rhino. That's the line Owen has chosen.
Yeah, he goes up to 7 here, passes the turn back to Seth Manfield. But Seth just has too much gasoline in the tank here.
And a Valor stance off the top.
Man.
Glare of Heresy
Glare
for the
of
Rhino.
Heresy to take out the Rhino, ship the team, and there's even a Hero's Downfall to kill the creature that blocked. The Siege Rhino trample finishes the job, and Seth Manfield picks up a pro point and goes to 11-1. Now, we know what his fate looks like as far as the top 4 goes, but what about for Owen there? So Owen picks up a loss here. He was second place coming in all by himself.
Sure.
Where does this set him?
Now he's second place tied with Rietzl and Martin Mueller. Man, what must it feel like to be Seth Manfield right here? I mean, I think
Top of the world.
every Magic player in the planet has just dreamed of having a day where you run this good, right?
Exactly.
Where you're on top of your game, and not that he's getting lucky, just he's got all the tools, he's playing great, he's drawing what he needs when he draws it. That feeling is just Cloud9.
He's got to be on Cloud 9. All right, well, you know what? Let's send it over to the news desk. Richard Hagan is sitting with Jackie Lee.
Thanks very much, Marshall. All right, so 24 players came in. Our reckoning is 10 players can still be world champion. Here's why. Seth Manfield is now 11-1, the destroyer of worlds. Seth Manfield 11-1. He's so far clear you need binoculars to see him. Everyone else, can't even say it without giggling, is 3 rounds adrift. Second place is 3 rounds adrift of Seth Manfield. There are 3 players on 8 and 4. Owen Turtenwald, Paul Rietzl, Martin Muller. 6 players are on 7 and 5. That means 9 players are fighting for 3 more slots in the Sunday top 4 of Worlds 2015. One of those 7 and 5s is Jacob Wilson of Canada. And as he came off his 7th win, he talked to Brian David Marshall.
Willoughby tells me I missed a hell of it. Steve Rubin, why don't you tell us how it played out?
All right, we played a pretty long game in the first few turns. He played a Fleece mainline, I played a Soulfire Grandmaster, then a Rabble Master. We both killed each other's creatures, and then he resolved multiple Siege Rhinos due to Den Protector. I was at 3 life at one point, he was at 31, but I was ahead on cards. I had more cards in my hand, but at any point I was dead to another Rhino, so I had to keep killing all of his creatures. In response to one of my Valorous stance, he had Bile-Blight to save his own Siege Rhino, but eventually I found enough cards to counter all of his threats and kill him with a Mantis Ride over several turns.
All right, now you're still clinging to life here at 7-5. How do you like your chances with Jeskai to win out through the rest of this tournament?
I definitely like my chances. I like playing Jeskai. It's pretty fun, and I think it's well positioned. There are a lot of people playing the deck, so I might play the mirror match a couple more times, and hopefully my tiebreakers will be good enough if I win the next 2.
All right, good games the rest of the way, Jacob Wilson.
Thank you.
Thanks very much to Jacob Wilson. Thanks to you for being patient, because I know what you want. You want a new Battle for Zendikar card. Funnily enough, we like giving you what you want, so we'll give you that new card approximately now.